David Rose is lying. It's simple. He's lying. You got something to say? Sue me. It's called the High Court of England and Wales. Mr. Rose has become involved, and I am very, very, very disappointed. I have a judgment. I have a judgment. I have a judgment. It's about £250,000. I said, fine. Well, he's not talking to me. Very welcome to talk to me through lawyers.
You are actually asking that if you, over the claims that you have made, you are inviting him to actually take legal action if he wants to.
I am saying under the law we can protect our reputations. Frankly, I think he lost all his reputation when he started working for the Daily Mail, but at least amongst those who cared for that reputation. He may have wanted to develop a different reputation with other, in other milieu, in other circumstances, but I stand by every word, every nuance, every letter of what I've said. If anybody wishes to challenge it, it's called the High Court of England and Wales. Mr. Rose has become involved, and I am very, very, very disappointed with David Rose that he has engaged recently in the tactics that really led to the shutdown of the news of the world in this country. You know, journalists calling others and trying to tap phones and trying to get them to plant dirt and all this kind of thing. I have been led to believe recently that he dug up some dirt on me, which he thinks is dirt. It's my badge of honor. The judgment of that foolish man, Laddie. I suggest those who think that's a serious judgment, see what happened to Mr. Laddie afterwards.
What is the point when your relationship, it went sour, when it went bitter?
With David Rose? When after I had my second meeting with Shahzad Akbar, I came and I said to him, I thought you had said, this is a man who respects the rule of law. I thought you'd said, this is a man who is serious about fighting corruption. I thought this is a man who would try to exemplify what a minister in a government that intends to abide by court orders would be. He is nothing of the sort. He dragged me out there to London on a rainy, horrible day and used the credibility of a very, very distinguished and good friend of mine, Clive Stafford Smith, in order to basically engage in a bizarre haggle. You know, you don't do that with court orders. You know, you fought a fair fight and you lost it. And when you lost it, you should abide by it. You know? If there's something wrong with it, you can appeal it. And in fact, you appealed it and you lost. You lost that too. So there's no more legal remedies. Instead of saying, yes, I agree, his attitude was, he started baiting me. Oh, but you didn't. You just bought this company late in the day. And somebody talked about screenshots. You want me to give you some screenshots? They're quite shocking. It shows a man completely bereft of honesty, completely lacking in integrity, who's trying to bait me into giving him another story. Now, I didn't fall for that. I kept saying, I have a judgment. I have a judgment. I have a judgment. I have a judgment. Do you have any respect for English court judgments? You know, that's the point at which my friendship and regard for him turned into utter contempt. You know, this is a man who is working for a newspaper that is a scurrilous rag.
He says that you offered him £250,000, but he says that he verbally told you that he doesn't need it. He will do it as a favor to a friend.
You know, Oxford parlance doesn't usually come with a bullshit. The answer is that it's complete, utter nonsense. The figure of 250 came from him. It didn't come from me. The mortgage came from him. It didn't come from me. David Rose is lying. It's simple. He's lying.
In the text message between you and David Rose, he asked you that if you have some information about Shahbaz Sharif or whatever his alleged assets, you should pass it to him. So what's wrong in passing that information to him? There's a defamation case going on between Daily Mail and Shahbaz Sharif. So if you have information, you might like to assist him.
Plague on both their houses. That's my answer to that. No, the only people I'm willing to assist are the people of Pakistan. They hired me. They paid for my services. Well, actually, they didn't pay for my services. I had to fight, you know, again, I'm sure. So my information is available to the people of Pakistan. You know, two bunch of rogues are fighting each other. I'm not interested in that. Yeah, he sent me a message, said, in the interest of justice. And I just laughed and laughed. I said, justice in the fight between Daily Mail David Rose and a former minister. No, I don't think it's such. No free lunches. He came to my house. I've said already when he learned that I was Broadsheet and I was involved in Broadsheet litigation. He had written an article in the Daily Mail about the Avon Field apartments, and then I don't know how he found out I was Broadsheet. He rang me. He said, "My goodness, you're in." I said, "Yes, yes." So he came up. I mean, David, I've known since 2003. So he came to my house and we sat down. We talked about it. I said, "I've got judgments against the government of Pakistan." And he said, "Well, you know, it's a new government." I said, "Yes, I read the newspaper. It's a new government, and you know, they're much different." I said, "Well, I hope so. They couldn't get much worse than the previous ones." And he said, "Well, you know, the minister in charge of it is Shahzad Akbar." Okay, right. I know him well. Okay, so I said, "Well, organize a settlement." And settlement being that I already have judgments. So if they want to settle, they should have settled years ago. I made it clear, unless they pay, I am going to seize Pakistani government assets, aircraft and other things. And he said, "Look, let me try and see if I can resolve this issue." And I said, "Fine." At which point the conversation moved on to, well, what's in it for him? And he said he had a mortgage, he had a big mortgage. And I said, "Fine, I will settle that, not a problem. Once I am paid fully, then I will settle your mortgage. It's about £250,000. I said, "Fine." I had no idea it was £250,000. I had no idea he had a mortgage. So that information came from David Rose. Working for the Daily Mail is not the way to prove your integrity. You fight Guantanamo Bay, you work for The Guardian, you work for the Daily Mirror. You fight Guantanamo Bay, you work for Tribune. You do not work for the Daily Mail. If you do that, it shows that you know the story of Faust and metamorphosis. You know, this is a complete metamorphosis of personality. But you know, you can reverse a metamorphosis. Well, he's not talking to me, and I'm not talking to them.
Okay.
But he's very welcome to talk to me through lawyers if he wishes.
Do you think that David Rose is giving some kind of stories or conspiracies allegedly?
I don't think. I know. I know he's talking to talking to Pakistani journalists, and he's asking them to write stories about me, which I'm very disappointed by. If here's someone who's pretending to be the friend of a minister who is responsible for fighting corruption, right? When you fight corruption by means that are lawful, that are clean, you come with ethically clean hands. You don't engage in dirty tricks. Mr. Rose, if you've got something to say it in a court of law. If you think that I've said anything that's not true, say it in a court of law.
He has denied. He says that he did not ask you for £250,000, but he says that the rest of your statement is correct. That he set up the meeting, he organized it, and that he took part in the meeting. But he denies asking for £250,000. Now, what happens if he takes legal action? Do you think he will go for he will sue you for defamation or will take legal action?
Be my guest. Yes, of course. I profoundly believe in the rule of law. You know, I fought the government of Pakistan over the last 20 years over the rule of law. Be my guest. You got something to say? Sue me. Simple.
Is that your challenge, David Rose?
I don't think he's big enough for me to challenge him. But frankly, if he had half the conviction of what he's saying in this behind-the-scenes briefing, as they do, journalists occasionally do that sort of thing. If he had half a belief in the veracity of what he was saying, he would come out openly. Look, I'm standing in front of you, 5, 6 journalists, I'm talking to you. Why can't he do the same? Or, if he doesn't want it, go to court.
Kaveh, he has shared some screenshots of your messages, and he says that you asked him for £1 million in order to give him the evidence against Shahbaz Sharif. What do you want to say about that? And if it is defamation, are you going to sue him?
Well, have you read the screenshot?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I didn't ask him. I said quite clearly, this is the result of 20 years of my work.
Right.
If that bent newspaper called the Daily Mail wants my information, they've got to pay for it. It's simple. And he came back in the screenshot that you read, said about justice. I said, don't make me laugh. Justice in the fight between Daily Mail and the Sharif family. I take my hat off. I take my hat off to the government of Pakistan if they're serious in pursuing this matter. I think there's a role for for private investigators, because there are things that governments can't do, and private investigators, one, they have the greater flexibility.